Welcome everyone. So the last 2 days we've been talking about linear equations and slope and graphing. Today we're going to start talking about the other way around, right? Writing equations. And today we're going to focus just on point slope form. So I mentioned this in some of the classes, but point slope form is actually more useful than slope intercept form because you can use it in all situations, whereas slope intercept form is only useful when given the y-intercept. So up here you have all your slope stuff that we talked about, and we also have our equation for point slope form. So we're going to do some of these examples here. So writing linear equations in point slope form given a point and slope. So these are actually very easy, all right, in point slope form. As you guys will see compared to tomorrow, we already have a point in the slope. That's all we need for point slope form, okay? So if we fill this out, this is our x1, this is our y1, and then all we need to do is just plug these into this equation up here, all right? So y minus y1 is 7, so that's y minus 7. The slope is -4. And then we have x minus -1. Again, when you have a minus sign and x1 is negative, that's the two negative signs right there. So all we have to do here is rewrite it and turn these two negative signs into a plus sign. And we're done. That's literally all you have to do in point slope form. It's very easy. So here we can do the same thing, all right? Y minus -5 equals 2/3 x minus 0. Turn this into a plus sign. And there we go, all right? Point slope form, done. So writing equations in point slope form, once you understand how to do it, it's very helpful. So now we're going to look at some other representations. So the first one we're going to look at is a graph. Now, since we're only given a graph, we don't actually know the slope. So it's important to figure out what the slope is. So whenever you have a graph and you want to figure out what the slope is, it's important to identify 2 points on the graph, and you want those points to be at whole numbers, right? So you want them to be at where these t's are made, all right? So we've got 2 points here. Now we just count the rise and the run. So we're going up 2 over 1. So our rise is 2 and our run is 1. So we got 2 over 1, which equals just 2. So I'm going to put our slope in, all right? Now we just want to pick a point, all right? Literally any point on this graph we can pick. So let's just pick this point right here. That's 1, 3. So we just need to plug those numbers in. So we've got y minus 3 and x minus 1, and that's it, all right? Now we're done. In a table, all right, again, we need to figure out what is the slope, okay? So in a table, to figure out the slope, you just need to pick any jump here and look at what it is. So here we're going 5 to 2, that's -3. All right, here we're going -4 to -2, that's +2. So when you do this, again, you've got rise over run. Now, if you look up at your slope formula, right, remember the y's are on top and the x's are on bottom. Okay, so when you're doing the table, the jump in the y's goes on top. Remember, the y's is the rise, or the rise is the y's, all right, it rhymes. So -3 goes on top, 2 goes on bottom, so our slope is -3/2. Then, just like before, you can literally pick any point you want up here. So let's just pick right there. So we've got y is -4, and we've got x is 2. So now we just need to rewrite this as y plus 4 equals -3/2 x minus 2. All right, and we are done there. So now we're going to move on to the back. So here, all right, they're giving us 2 points, all right, and they want us to write it in point slope form. So this is a little bit different than the first one. Here we actually are going to use this formula right here, all right? We worked on this earlier this week. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So if we come up here, we've got our x1, y1, x2, y2. And now we can just do our subtraction. So we've got 7 minus 1 over -3 minus -6. Well, we know that two negative signs, that becomes positive. So this is -3 plus 6. So we've got 6 on top, 3 on bottom. That equals 2. So we know our slope is 2. Now all we have to do is just, again, pick one of your points. It can be either one. And plug them in. So I'm going to plug in the first one. So since this is negative, we don't need to write it out every time. We can just change it to plus once we've kind of done it a couple times. And then we are going to plug in 1 for y. And there we go. All right, we're done. So next one, we're going to do the same thing. All right, we've got x1, we've got y1, we've got x2, we've got y2. So we've got 8 minus -2. Well, again, we know that becomes plus. Then we have -6 minus -2. Again, it's going to become plus. So on top, we have 10. On bottom, we have -6 plus 2. That's -4. And this will simplify into -5/2. So we can write this out. All right. Again, our slope goes right after our equal sign. Now we just want to pick one of our points. So I'm going to pick the second one. So that becomes x plus 6, and that becomes y minus 8. All right. Again, just plugging the numbers right into our formula, okay? If you ever forget, just come look up here, and you know y1, m, and x1. All right, that's right where that stuff goes. So finally, we're going to do some work with parallel and perpendicular lines. Now, we also talked about this earlier in the week, okay? But here they're telling us they want it to go through the point 40 and be parallel to this line. All right, so the key to this is knowing what parallel means. Parallel means the same slope, right? And since this is 5/4, we want our equation to have the same slope, which is also 5/4. All right, so we're going to put 5/4 right there. Then we're just going to plug in this point here that they want our line to go through. So that means that point's going to be included in our line. So its x value is 4, so you got x minus 4. Then we can put y minus 0 over there. You don't need to write minus 0. You could have just wrote y equals 2 if you wanted to do that. And there we go. All right, it's in point slope form. So now, of course, we've got a perpendicular. So here, though, we don't know what the slope of this line is, right? That's in standard form. So we worked with standard form yesterday, and we talked about if your line's in standard form, you're going to want to turn it into slope-intercept form. That way you can tell what the slope is. So just like yesterday, we're going to subtract those over. We're going to move that x, and then we are going to divide by -1 because we want to get that negative sign out from the y. So we've got y equals, the negatives cancel out and make a positive. Positive divided by a negative is a negative. So we got y equals 2x minus 4. So we want to be perpendicular to that. Remember, perpendicular is a little bit harder than parallel. It means opposite reciprocal. So our perpendicular slope is going to be the opposite sign. So since this slope is positive, ours will be negative, and then flipped upside down. So since that's 2/1, ours will be -1/2. So in our form, we've got -1/2. And we want to go through 4, -2. All right, so Our x value is 4, so we got x minus 4. Our y value is negative 2, so that becomes y plus 2. And we are done. All right, so that is the notes for today. Hopefully this wasn't too bad. It was a lot of the same stuff over and over again, figuring out what the slope is, plugging that in, and then just plugging your point in. So if you have any questions on this, all right, you can bring them to class tomorrow and we can go over it. If you have any urgent questions like on the homework, you can try and Canvas message me and I'll try and get back to you. Remember, there's always a key up, so you can check your work with the key, all right? Good luck and have a great day.